But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
So, here's the actual appearance. Watch.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. Oh, that's a terrible
that is
thing
just
to say.
Whoopi, I'm telling
He
you.
was 3 pounds a day.
Whoopi, I love you. I'm telling
I
you.
love you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages.
Whoopi Goldberg just went full beast mode on Trump, and his reaction, let's just say it wasn't pretty. Picture a grown man throwing a tantrum in a gold-plated playpen. That's basically what happened. In this video, we're serving up a steaming hot plate of Whoopi versus Trump drama. You'll see how Goldberg's sass levels went from 0 to nuclear, leaving Trump madder than a wet MAGA hat. Trust me, you don't want to miss this political smackdown. This has always blown my mind a little bit. 91% that watch this show regularly haven't subscribed. Could I ask you for a small favor before we start? If you like this show, what we do here, and want to support us, the free simple way you can do just that is by hitting the subscribe button. Remember when Whoopi Goldberg was just that funny lady making us laugh in a nun's habit? Well, times have changed, and so has our favorite Sister Mary Clarence. Whoopi's early career was all about tickling our funny bones. She had us rolling in the aisles with her performances in Sister Act and Ghost. America couldn't get enough of her comedic charm. But then along came a certain orange-tinted reality TV star with presidential ambitions. At first, Whoopi tried to play nice. She even had Trump on TheView back in 2011. Big mistake. Huge. It turns out inviting Trump to your talk show is like inviting a bull into a china shop. Things are bound to get messy. During that infamous appearance, Trump started spouting off about his birther conspiracy theories. You know, the ones where he claimed President Obama wasn't born in the US. Whoopi wasn't having any of it. She called his claims BS faster than you can say fake news. It was like watching a comedy sketch turn into a political showdown.
It was the episode of you when you were on TheView. And I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
Okay, let's stop there. So, here's the actual appearance. Watch.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star.
There's a lot of fake news coming up, so we're gonna clear some of it up as it happens. He was actually, in that clip, is 2011.
As Trump's political shenanigans ramped up, so did Whoopi's blood pressure. And boy, did she let him have it. She went from tolerating his TV appearances to becoming his worst nightmare on daytime television. It was like watching a superhero origin story, but instead of a cape, Whoopi's got a sharp tongue and zero patience for nonsense. Whoopi started calling out Trump's antics with the precision of a comedy sniper. She'd take aim at his statements, and boom, down they'd go. It was like watching a masterclass in sass. People don't want to be spoken down to. They don't want to be made fun of, she declared, standing up for all the folks Trump seemed to enjoy putting down. But Whoopi wasn't just throwing punches for the sake of it. She was using her platform on TheView to challenge Trump's statements, turning the show into a space for some serious political critique. And when Trump's supporters suggested she should leave the country, Whoopi fired back with, "I ain't going nowhere. This is my country. You tell him, Whoopi." As Trump's presidency unfolded, Whoopi's critiques became sharper than ever. She reminded everyone that being a character on television is a lot different than being the president of the United States. It was her way of saying, "Hey, Donnie, this isn't The Apprentice anymore. You can't just yell, 'You're fired,' at the country's problems." Just when you thought Trump couldn't get any more ridiculous, he's gone and declared war on wokeness. But guess what? Whoopi Goldberg's not having any of it. She's about to serve Trump a slice of humble pie with a side of history lesson that'll make his orange face turn redder than a MAGA hat.
But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug.
I respect Barbara. You know, she said be polite to guests no matter what.
Yes.
And for the most part, I got through. I did it like I do now.
Whoopi's been watching Trump's latest antics with the kind of disappointment usually reserved for a kid who's just drawn on the walls with permanent marker. When Trump's press secretary Caroline Leavitt started yapping about the evils of wokeness, Whoopi decided it was time for a little education. Let me explain something to you, Whoopi said, probably wishing she had a blackboard and a pointer stick. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job. Boom, that's gotta sting more than Trump's spray tan in a rainstorm. But Whoopi was just getting started. She went on to explain that wokeness isn't some scary monster hiding under America's bed. It's actually the reason why we don't still live in a world where women were expected to stay in the kitchen and black folks were told to use the back door. Wokeness was put in place for a reason, Whoopi said, probably wondering if she needed to break out some sock puppets to make her point clearer.
I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth
why not,
certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh my God.
Has nothing to do with that. By the way,
Because I've
has
never heard
nothing
any
to
white
do with it.
president ask to be shown the birth certificate.
Everybody does.
When you become a president, so Barbara was her usual polite self, as she was with every guest.
She reminded everyone that back in the day, black people and women weren't exactly welcomed with open arms into higher education. It was a man's world, and women and minorities had to fight tooth and nail to make it a person's world. Whoopi's not just throwing shade here, folks. She's giving a history lesson that Trump and his cronies desperately need. It's like she's trying to explain quantum physics to a goldfish, but she's not giving up. So please stop using that phrase and talking about, because you don't understand what you're saying, Whoopi pleaded, probably feeling like she was talking to a brick wall with a bad comb over. She pointed out that when they say wokeness is terrible, they're basically saying, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. But Whoopi's not having it. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for.
But here's where they really messed up. Watch.
They're talking about you in such a favorable light. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
Oh, that's a terrible
That
thing
is
to
just
say.
the
Whoopi, I'm
worst
telling
thing
you.
do.
3 pounds
Donna,
I love you. I'm
Donna,
telling
I love
you.
you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages.
And just to drive her point home, Whoopi brought up Joe Biden's press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre. She's not just a milestone for women of color, but for LGBTQ folks too. It's like Whoopi's reminding Trump that while he was busy tweeting nonsense, the rest of the world was actually making progress. Looks like Whoopi's not just dishing out hot topics on TheView these days, she's serving up some spicy political realness too. Our favorite Sister Act star is hoping for a breather in the next election, which is probably code for anyone but Trump, please. But don't think she's backing down from the Orange Menace anytime soon. Nope, Whoopi's made it clear she's gonna keep challenging Trump's nonsense like it's her full-time job. Who knew that the lady who once played a singing nun would end up being Trump's biggest TV nemesis? It's like watching a comedy special turn into a political thriller, and honestly, we're here for it. So grab your popcorn, folks. This Whoopi versus Trump showdown is far from over, and something tells me Whoopi's got a few more surprises up her sleeve.